how did you, you know, through school, through work, develop this ability to catch emotions, to catch color, to catch stories? And, to rephrase my question better is, how do you think a photojournalist or a photographer learns to see and capture what is essential? And
Right.
that makes you different. So, how do you think that happened for you? And maybe you can tell us a few stories about photos that really changed you individually.
Right. I think uh, as a photojournalist, you're trained to uh, be like so. So I remember one brief statement my sir told us about. You keep that in mind, and you figure out what's your job as a photographer. So he says that you've got to be a fly on the wall when you're trying to document these stories. So you have to be visible, but you have to be very quick to move around. You have to look like you exist, but you don't. You have to be very unseen in these moments. Otherwise you break the whole connection with the viewer who looks at your picture.
Correct.
So second thing I think what I would rather say helped us is visiting a lot of different places in a very short period of time. Let's say like the contrast that develops from the different environments that keep changing as a photojournalist.
Mm.
So I could be getting a assignment call uh, at the Taj Hotel, let's say 11 o'clock in the morning. I have to attend a conference of the business type, tycoons, and I have to photograph their party later on, and I have to photograph their meeting, and I have to photograph the prominent politicians who come around. And then suddenly you're sent to photograph a fire in a chawl, and
Mm.
you rush to, seeing that later in the afternoon. You know, you have to take, so you have to leave Taj Hotel when the call comes. You made your pictures, you have to file them, and then you're on your way to see a fire, and you have to
Mm.
see people struggle to make their way out. You have to see if there is casualties. You have to note that happening. So you're the environment keeps changing so rapidly. So from a very you know uh, the extremes that this profession brings along, you get to not just see, you're not there to just photograph, but you also start feeling, you also start looking at these people in different light in different times. You look at the chawl when it is on fire, but you also look at it when it is uh, uh, you know uh, celebrating Holi, or when
Mm.
you see a small room having 20, 30 small children, being taught by one tuition teacher. You look at the friendships
Mm.
that exist in Chawl, you look at the parties that exist in Taj. So I think uh, uh, this mix that keeps happening.
Mm.
Suddenly you're into a zoo in Baikla. Suddenly you have to go to photograph something as silly as the CCTV cameras that are around the city.
Mm.
Then there was an assignment which was nothing but just photographing the CCTV cameras in Bombay. That was my
Wow.
brief. I had to,
Okay.
like, for Indian Express, I had to look around for CCTV cameras in the city for 3 hours and come back to office. This was perhaps the most boring assignment to say, if anybody would be doing something like that. But I took it with full pride, and I was out, in daylight, photographing, finding different CCTV cameras at different locations, and I think the print that comes out to be in the next day was nothing but like as small as a small, very square, small. This is what it was at the end of the day.
Got it.
But you do that. I got the byline. We work for the byline. We work for, at the end, the picture says it's a photograph by Janak Rathod.
Mm.
So apart from that, when you start looking at these stories over time, again and again, when you see Mumbai being flooded every monsoon,
Mm.
until your knees, people working working their way out of that water, but they have no way out. Like, you have to get into that water to catch a particular train. You have to, there is no other, your scooter gets stuck, your car gets stuck, you have to protect yourself, your documents, and you see so much. So there's like, the city becomes a complex creature. You
Mm.
have to understand it by time. the you see little children, consuming tobacco, like very little children in far off regions. I think I made a picture of that as well
Yep.
in my early days. And you read about it, you watch films about it, and it does not shock you as much. But when you see it in person, very close to your eye, it changes a little bit of a person in you. Uh,
Mm.
when you see when you see uh, how do I tell you? So
Like
I think
you see the pain and the suffering, but you also see the happiness and the joys,
happiness,
right?
yeah,
And
everything. It's like a mixture. It's there's no point at which you feel just one thing throughout the day. There's
got it.
assignments that keep coming throughout, like be probably 3 to 4. It'll take you through 4 different kind of environments, 4 different kind of people, and you come back to sleep, and you have you retake everything that happened in your day, and you have a different version of the city altogether. Again, it changes by the morning. Again, it changes the very next day. So uh, I think the more you see, as you said, how do I photograph emotions and how do I look at color? After a point, it's just what you find interesting in a particular given scenario.
Yeah.
People are everywhere. So what was told to us in classes was, if you see a bunch of photographers aiming their lenses at one particular moment, do not go for that. It's done. So try to look for something from a different angle. Try to seek for something that is not given the kind of attention
Got it.
that it so there is always a bunch of photographers piled up to see something that's happening,
Got
always
it.
in any given scenario. But you have to break. If you want to make your picture stand, if you want your picture to be different, you have to not go where the crowd of photographers are. You have to be away from them. That is when you see something new. Otherwise, what happens to be is, most of the pictures that come out, regarding the reportage of news, there's always a very common subject. There's always a very common action that is photographed by 4 to 5 people in 4 to 5 in a different angle, more or
Mm.
so. But there's a repetition of visuals that come to you through these photographs. So if you want to break that, if you want to have your own identity in these pictures, you have to search for something that people are not, are not looking at. So